Members have any questions for the leader? All executive board members? Councillor Barr?
The most important announcement in the leader's announcement, from my point of view, is the announcement concerning the preferred development option. The preferred development option consultation has generated, on the basis of my 11 years in council, an unprecedented public response. Unfortunately, as far as I can tell, an unprecedented negative public response. Not just tonight's demonstration, but demonstrations in press, and many complaints from people in many wards that their councillors hadn't warned them that these sorts of things were in train. And suddenly, the entire future idea for the town was put into one very complex technical document. So I'd like to ask the leader whether he doesn't feel it's a failure of his leadership and of other councillors here not to have presented and discussed a vision for the future of the town with residents before presenting them with what most of them have seen as an unacceptable preferred development option. That in the Newtown days, the town used to go to enormous extents to look at what people wanted and to sell a vision of the town for the future. The PDO was not the right document to do that, and it hasn't even been supported by either of the town's MPs. So is that a failure of leadership, and can we expect more visionary leadership before the local plan comes out?
Thank you, Councillor Barr, and thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you for your kind tears. Personally, we all know, and I've circulated I've circulated to you, I've circulated around the room about what the process is. And you know as well as I do that it's part of the PDO is part of a long process where the government decides what the process has to do. And this time, and probably in spring next year, we'll make a decision about the local plan, and then it will be open to consultation with an examination of public in due course by an independent inspector. I have to say, the reason I say clocking out tears is because I can remember your administration from 2006 to 2011, and all you wanted to do was sell off Warrington Hall. That was your sole remit in life. And the reason we stopped you.
Let him answer, please.
The PDO, as you know, is a due process that we have to follow. The government insists we follow it. If we don't follow this PDO process, and I know people's got mixed views about it, and I know they think the decision's been made, but no decisions are made yet. We've got to go through a process of call for sites, a PDO, preferred development option, and then we make a decision about what's in our local plan. And even after that, it goes to an independent inspector where there'll be a public inquiry which will be open and consulted on by everyone in the town. So this PDO process that you keep harping on about is a red herring. It really is, and you know it is. And it's behest on you and your Liberal group to actually explain to the people of Warrington what exactly is going on. And we've done our best to explain, but unfortunately, social media, no one listens to you. They believe what's posted on our social media sites. Instead of listening to the valid arguments that we put forward, and the officers worked hard to try and make sure that everyone is up to speed with what's going on. And unfortunately, it doesn't do your group any good if you've actually tried to undermine it all.
Thank you, Councillor O'Neill. Councillor Walker.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's a question to the leader on his report and fairness about PDO. Can the leader assure the council that the large volume of comment that the PDO generated will inform the draft local plan, and we expect to see a completely driven document?
Thank you, Councillor Walker, for that question. The answer is yes.
Right, we move to item 9. Questions received from members of the public. There are 4 questions received from members of the public. There is a 3-question cap on public questions. So the final question will be replied to in writing. The first two questions appear to have been transposed on the schedule of questions on the Council's website. I am, however, going to take them in the order of receipt. So, question 1, and Mr. Jackson, please.
Good evening. I believe I don't have to read the question out, and I can ask Councillor Guthrie to respond based on the listed question.
Please do, go on.
Councillor Guthrie, could I ask you to respond to the question?
Response, Councillor Guthrie. You heard it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Mr. Jackson. I can well understand the reactions of local residents in South Warrington to the proposals in the local plan preferred development option. However, I would state that it's the Council's statutory responsibility, and I would suggest that our moral duty is really to identify land for provision of new homes for local people and to support our economy into the future, and we shouldn't shy away from this. I quote the Secretary of State for Communities and Local Government in his Housing White Paper, which was published early this year, which said this country doesn't have enough homes. That's not a personal opinion or a political calculation, it's simply a statement of fact. A shortage of the right homes in the right places has slammed the door of the housing market in the face of a whole generation. And we've thought about that. The White Paper goes on to say that all local authorities should develop an up-to-date plan that meets the housing needs, and it tasks councils to make the tough decisions that are required. And this is exactly what we're doing, and I don't apologise for that. It's now widely accepted that there is a housing crisis in this country. All political parties set housing supply as a priority, and all propose to significantly increase the numbers of new homes being built. Warrington is no different in this. We already have a significant affordability and housing supply problem. If we don't provide enough homes for the future, this will only get worse. And our future generations and their families will not be able to find or afford a home of their own in their town. We are required to have a 5-year supply of land available for new homes. We currently have less than 3 years supply. And that's not a good place to be. Warrington is not alone in its endeavour. All, and I mean all, Halton, St Helens, all our neighbouring councils are producing new local plans, and they are all proposing to roll back their green belts to accommodate their local needs for new homes. Interestingly, with our preferred development option, it actually proposes the provision of more new homes in areas north of the Manchester Ship Canal rather than to the south. And the figures are split. North of the Ship Canal, the plans were 13,134 dwellings, and south of the Ship Canal, there was 9,900. As a transport authority, we are also tasked with providing the necessary new infrastructure to support our growing town and to tackle our congestion and air quality problems. And we just can't ignore this and pretend it's not an issue. The local plan is a statutory process. It's not something we've just dreamt up to upset people. We have received responses from many people and many stakeholders, and we will carefully consider all views in the production of the actual draft local plan, which we intend to publish next spring. The draft plan will again be the subject of public consultation, and eventually it will be examined in public, chaired by an independent government-appointed inspector. The PDO is therefore just the start of what will be a long and formal process with further public and stakeholder consultation. And I welcome and encourage people's views on what is, after all, a critical issue for the future of our town and a tough set of decisions the council is tasked to make. For future generations of our residents simply won't forgive us. And if we don't face up to this issue and tackle it now, the decisions that are made will affect generations to come. It's not just our children, it's our grandchildren, it's our great-grandchildren. Personally, I respect everyone's views here this evening, but as a council, we will continue with this process and ensure that all views are taken into consideration. Once again, future generations will never forgive us if we don't make the right decisions for our town. And we must continue with this journey. Thank you.
Mr Jackson, do you have a supplementary question?
I do, thank you, Councillor Guthrie. I've listened to your response, and I also listened to the leader's response earlier, and I think you're missing the point. The residents feel that this is a matter of trust about South Warrington. We're under no illusion that that area was a development, but there were also promises made by previous councils. So we're now in a situation where the residents see a disproportionate split in the PDO between North and South. We've been subject to what we believe is a very poorly communicated and executed consultation process. And we've been subject to an HCA planning meeting, which really added no value going to 2
Mr
years.
Jackson, is this a question or a
It is.
statement?
I just would like to
What's the
know,
question?
there are real concerns. What is the Warrington Borough Council going to do to repair the damage of trust that has come through the process today?
Once again, can I just say, this is a statutory process which the council needs to strictly follow, as stakeholders will have different and opposing views on the content of the plan. It will both be unwise and inappropriate to discuss this any further tonight, particularly with just one set of views. The process needs to progress as required. Thank you.
Thank you. Now go to question 2, please. Mrs Chisholm.
Mrs. Chisholm, thank you. Please could you take my first question as well?
Councillor McLaughlin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Susan, for your question. Housing is one of the big issues facing our country today, and as Councillor Guthrie has just said, it's a huge matter of concern for many people, whether they want to buy a home for themselves or to find decent accommodation that they can rent long-term at a reasonable price. The truth is that for many people nowadays, the dream of owning a home is out of reach, and for some, even the option of secure, affordable, rented accommodation is becoming increasingly hard to find. In Warrington, there are insufficient homes to meet current and future housing needs as our population grows and as we live longer into older age. In July 2017, the Council launched a consultation on the review of our local plan, which set out our proposed approach to meeting Warrington's need for new homes and jobs between now and 2037. The Council recognises the difficulties that many Warrington families are facing and will continue to maximise opportunities for affordable housing via the planning system. Currently, affordable housing is sought on all planning applications which have 11 or more dwellings. The Council has also been carrying out a strategic review on the housing development options to deliver new housing and the role the Council should play in the provision of building new homes, including affordable homes. I'm afraid I do have to disagree with the suggestion in the question that the Conservative Party want to prioritise the building of affordable housing over other types of homes. At conference, the Prime Minister announced an additional £2 billion for affordable housing and another £10 billion for the Help to Buy scheme, a scheme that has been shown to mainly benefit families earning above average incomes, some on incomes of over £100,000 per year. And this scheme has also now been shown in a study by the housing charity Shelter to actually push house prices up. The extra funding announced for affordable housing only amounts to an additional 5,000 affordable homes per year for the whole country. In the meantime, this government continues to offer a £78,000 discount for council and housing association tenants to buy their homes. Whilst benefiting those who are able to make use of this scheme in the short term, this is also removing high quantities of much needed affordable rented accommodation from the market for future generations. We know from past experience that many of these houses end up in the hands of private landlords, offering a much poorer service than their housing association counterparts. This Labour administration recognises the needs of Warrington residents to find suitable accommodation at prices they can afford. As a council, we are committed to ensuring that we plan for a future that meets those needs, and this includes the provision of affordable housing.
Thank you, Councillor McLaughlin. Do you have a supplementary question?
I do, please. Thank you for the response. In view of the need to balance the types of homes and the fact that the council has major investments in a housing company and a bank, which lends to experienced property investors, many have asked how the council can be considered independent and in a position to dictate the type and quantity of housing within the town. Your PDO states that it will follow levels of growth in accordance with the LEP strategic and economic plan. However, this partnership includes board members, for example from Langtree, who will benefit substantially from vast developments of Greenbelt. Can the council please explain how, if any of the town's investments, advisors, officers, members or partnerships with other developers...
Are you asking Councillor McLaughlin the question?
I am, please, yes.
You just said, can the council explain? Councillor,
Okay, Councillor Pierce, okay, please could I just finish my question? I'm nearly there.
I'm asking you to.
If you could please explain, as per my question to date, and benefit from how all of those people can benefit from Greenbelt land being released. It will maintain how the council will maintain total independence and avoid bias when choosing expansion over the environment. Thank you. I'm sorry, I lost the flow of my question now. I hope you fully understood it.
Councillor McLaughlin.
Thank you. The planning process is quasi-judicial, as Councillor Guthrie has already explained how the preferred development option and all the different stages of the road plan will go ahead. And there will be an inquiry, and all these matters will be looked at. So if people have concerns, they will be able to raise those, and they will be answered in the appropriate way. In terms of our own investments, those have all gone through proper scrutiny and have been agreed. And we take legal advice on those investments. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Move to question 3. Ms Maguire.
Thank you. Can I ask Councillor to please take the question as read?
Councillor Olney or Councillor Munro?
Just people outside can some of the questions.
Yes. We're on the board, we're on the board for you.
Okay to proceed, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Munro, please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Maguire. Thank you for your question. I think the answer to this is that public response is not the only factor considering whether the scheme should progress, and if so, what route it should take. The Department of Transport requires us to follow a strict process that assesses a number of themes, allowing them to compare our business case with those submitted by other authorities. The themes used to identify the preferred routes are transport network impacts, wider economic impact, environmental impacts, and social and distributional impacts, deliverability, third-party views, and cost and risk. Results of the public consultation form part of the third-party views assessment. The red route was selected based on its compatibility, high performance across each of these assessment themes. So basically, over the wide scheme of everything, it's actually come out and scored the best possible route to find with least disruption across the town.
Supplementary question.
Thank you, Councillor. It's been suggested that only 5% of traffic avoiding the toll on the Mersey Gateway would divert to the Warrington Western Link. This figure, however, appears to be based on HGVs only and doesn't include all of the types of vehicles. So taking into account the following points, the impact of HGVs and other vehicles on the toll-free Western Link, most respondents to the consultation consider the Western Link will not improve air quality in Warrington.
That's a statement, not a question.
I'll get to the question.
Please do.
Yeah. Based on the following points, I will, if you can allow me the time, which is already the second highest polluter in the region. Most respondents to the consultation felt that the Western Link will not save on journey times and fuel. Given these points, what guarantees will Warrington Borough Council make to current and future residents to ensure that their health and well-being will not be adversely affected?
Thank you, supplementary. Well, from the figures that I've received up to now, said we're expecting the air pollution to be spread across and a 13% overall increase in better air conditions for the whole of the town. On that side of it. With the actual movements of traffic, I'll have an answer for what that's going to be doing, what's going to change. I think some of that's going to come out in future. But what we can actually say, the assessment we've had is that things will be much improved. What we're trying to not just decided to do with the actual route is actually come from public people, from the public saying we need to do something about congestion in our town. As you said, we're one of the worst congested towns in the northwest, and we need to do something about it. So now we actually tasked our officers to do something about it, to find us a route across there which is going to have the least impact and give us the most benefit we possibly can. With these cases, there's no magical route across there. There's no route that's going to be take us there, not going to cause so much disruption. What we found, our officers found that we are, is the best possible route with the least disruption along there. And the benefit for the town is we'll be able to see that benefit in town. There's least houses going to be taken up in this scheme, so there's less property being taken up in that scheme. And we actually found out, testing there, that we're going to get the best possible result we can out of a difficult situation. So we knew there was no magical route when it started up there, but we tasked our officers to find the best possible route we could, and we believe that's what we've come up with. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Money. As mentioned earlier, question 4 will receive a written response. That now completes questions from the public. Members of the public, they are welcome to stay behind and listen to the rest of the meeting. To question 4. Yes?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Taking the vote, please.
Thank you. Councillor Guthrie again.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Mark, for this question. There are 2 quite separate points here. The term Warrington New City is a title to a programme of work and investment, and nothing to do with city status. The term emerged through discussions about a possible devolution deal with the government last year, and was a shorthand descriptor of the emerging coordinated programme of infrastructure and place investment in Warrington. This was debated extensively at the Council's all-party devolution task group in 2016, and the members of the task group unanimously recommended to the Executive Board in October last year that Warrington New City programme be progressed as a key priority. Councillor Barr, you represented your group on that working group and didn't suggest that the title be tested with residents then, so why now? Reference to Warrington New City has since appeared in the Cheshire and Warrington Strategic Economic Plan and Warrington Means Business, and is being successfully used in funding bids to the government. The term was being actively used prior to its inclusion in the local plan PDO, and our discussions are progressing well with government regarding major investments in Warrington, and a deeper and longer partnership with government via a place, town or housing deal is looking very positive. So, Councillor Barr, it's working. We are currently delivering around 77 million of transportation projects in the town, and are working up infrastructure projects with a value of some 300 million with the government. As any deal with government progresses, it becomes more formal, and then I'm quite happy to revisit the name of our programme. The Warrington New City was only intended to be a working title. So, really, Bob, let's get this into perspective. It's the programme of investment that's important, not what it's called. Your second point, with the term garden city suburb. As you know quite well, it's a descriptor for a form of place development. A place with quality new homes with gardens, health facilities, leisure and community facilities, schools, integrated public transport, cycleways and walkways, with a rich landscape, framework and parks. It's actually a term now used by government in its garden settlement initiative. This is a proposal in the local plan PDO. So yes, we have consulted in exactly the way we should. As part of the local plan PDO consultation process, it would have been wrong to do it any other way. I hope that answers your question. Thank you.
Councillor Barr, have you got supplementary?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I do have supplementary, because Councillor Guthrie has actually not answered my question, except in a rather long-winded way. She has said, no, these terms were not tested with residents. Instead, what she's done, she's given us a very helpful lecture that shows how the PDO was written in a way which is suitable for civil servants and suitable for internal technical discussions. It was then thrust on the people of Warrington, and not surprisingly, the people of Warrington en masse revolted against both these terms. Have you expressed your vision to the people of Warrington?
What's your supplementary question, Councillor?
Will you now change these terms and talk to the people of Warrington about what you're proposing to them in terms they can understand?
Councillor Guthrie.
Thank you, I'm already here. This is a statutory process, Bob, which the councils need to strictly follow as stated. Stakeholders will have different and opposing views on the contents of the plan. It will both be very unwise and inappropriate to discuss this any further tonight, particularly because we've only heard one set of views. The process needs to progress as required. Thank you.
Declare the meeting closed.